the church in Cameroon takes the bull by the horns and calls for an all-Anglophone General Conference. The meeting that was championed by Christian Cardinal Tumbi seeks to reflect on the socio-political crisis in the northwest and the southwest regions of Cameroon and propose solutions. In this newscast, Christian Cardinal Tumbi is going to be expatiating on the conference, and which is taking place for the first time since the Anglophone crisis escalated. In this newscast as well, we talk about the devastating consequences of floods which hit the country's economic capital Douala and Limbe in the littoral and southwest regions of the country. A child died here in the Douala Free subdivision and 5 lives lost in the town of Limbe. Several others are still declared missing. Plus, we talk about circulation that has practically been perturbed on the national road number 3, the road linking Douala to the nation's capital Yaoundé. We'll tell you how and why in this newscast. We shall be right back. Good evening to you, ladies and gentlemen. We thank you so much for joining us in this edition of the Primetime Newscast on Equinox Television. Christian Cardinal Tumbi, that was meeting with some religious leaders and actors of the civil society here in the country's economic capital, Douala, has indicated that Anglophone Cameroonians in the northwest and the southwest regions of Cameroon have suffered enough, and that there is need for concrete solutions to be provided and seek the way forward. His Eminence Christian Cardinal Tumbi and other religious and civil society leaders have called for an all-Anglophone conference to address the socio-political impasse in the 2 Anglophone regions of Cameroon. The announcement was made public today at the St. Peter and Paul's Cathedral in the economic capital. Greater details, and in the following excerpt that would be coming up, we could see how imams were equally part of the gathering in the economic capital Douala today, as well as other religious leaders. Christian Cardinal Tumbi is going to be telling us the purpose of the meeting today in Douala. Take a listen.
We, his undersigned servants, met in Douala at the invitation of His Eminence Christian Cardinal Tumbi to reflect and pray over the political, social, economic and security situation prevailing in Anglophone Cameroon, that is northwest and southwest regions. As we all know, the people of these 2 regions have suffered enough hardship in the nearly 2 years since the present crisis erupted in October 2016. We believe that the moment has come to put an end to the conflict through a frank, inclusive and comprehensive national dialogue on the Anglophone problem. We therefore fervently appeal to the President of the Republic, the head of state, to organize such a dialogue as soon as possible. We recognize the absolute necessity for the people of the southwest and northwest regions to hold a preparatory general conference in order to agree on the issues to be examined at the national dialogue on the Anglophone problem, and to freely designate their representatives at that dialogue. Accepting our moral responsibility to promote peace and harmony among all God's children, we hereby freely take the initiative to constitute ourselves into a college of conveners for the purpose of summoning the required general conference of the people of the southwest and northwest regions. To this end, we hereby convene an Anglophone General Conference to be held in Boya on Wednesday 29th and 30th of August 2018. The Anglophone General Conference will be organized by a broad-based conference organizing committee comprising representatives of traditional and religious authorities, civil society leaders, professional associations, women's and youth groups, trade union organizations, etc. Participation in the conference will be open and limited to all Cameroonian citizens living in Cameroon or abroad who fall in one of the following 2 categories. Category 1, those whose ancestral origins are within one of the 13 divisions of the territory that today constitutes the Northwest and Southwest regions of Cameroon. And 2, those whose parents or grandparents, not having their ancestral origins in one of the 13 divisions of the Southwest and Northwest regions, settled permanently in this territory as at 1st October 1961. The governors of the Northwest and Southwest regions shall be invited to attend the Anglophone General Conference in person or through their designated representatives. We hereby designate Dr. Simon Munzu, a well-known civil society personality and former Assistant Secretary General of the United Nations, as spokesperson, advisor to the College of Conveners, and coordinator of the conference organizing committee.
That is a segment of the press declaration made today by men of God, and it was read out by Reverend Father Babila Fochang, that is the synod clerk of the Presbyterian Church in Cameroon. The men of God equally urged both parties in the northwest and the southwest regions of Cameroon involved in the crisis to put an end to hostilities. Let's have the excerpt once again of Reverend Babila Fochang, synod clerk of the Presbyterian Church in Cameroon. He was speaking to our reporter Babla Jonathan. That except that we certainly will be coming back to that in a subsequent newscast or in the course of this newscast. Now, let us take a look at something else concerning the crisis in the two Anglophone regions of Cameroon. Banks in Boya that have been compelled to sign an undertaking to be present at their business premises on Mondays observed as ghost towns or ghost town in the northwest and the southwest regions of Cameroon. This is the only measure to prevent their offices from being sealed by the mayor of the Boya municipality, who has promised tough times to business persons who respect the ghost town. The mayor was speaking to, it was part of the meeting that took place in Boya yesterday. Let's have the details in the following report. Scores of business premises, banks and microfinancial institutions in Boya have remained closed for 3 days now, a move taken by the mayor of the Boya subdivision Monday to seal shops respecting the ghost town. Some bank operators have said that they were simply reacting to growing insecurity and threat from unknown individuals. They aired their concerns in a meeting Tuesday with council officials in the town of Boya. The 21 attendees at the gathering were told to sign an undertaking attesting their non-respect of the ghost town observed on Mondays in Anglophone Cameroon. The mayor of the Boya subdivision has maintained that shops and business persons who opt to stay off commercial activities would have to face serious sanctions. Shop owners at Clark's Quarters and Boya Town who stayed at home Monday have not been able to gain access into their business premises, as shops are still bearing the sealing notices put in place by the Boya Council. And the mayor of the Boya municipality has issued another release today, the 25th of July 2018, insisting that his office will proceed to seal business premises and equally sanction transporters who defy the order and stay at home. On Monday next week, Ghost Town has taken center stage in Boya. It should be noted in the past few months, and it simply intensified just a few weeks ago. Let us come back to the excerpt of the important meeting that took place here in the country's economic capital, Douala. The Reverend Father Babla Fochang, synod clerk of the Presbyterian Church in Cameroon, that would be talking about all parties involved in the Anglophone crisis to put an end to hostilities. Take a look or take a listen.
Government of Cameroon and the various armed groups that now operate throughout the territory of the Northwest and Southwest regions to declare an immediate end to military hostilities in these two regions and thus create favorable conditions for finding a peaceful and lasting solution to the Anglophone problem and to ending the Anglophone crisis in our country through dialogue. We pray the government of Cameroon to create favorable conditions for the participation of all qualified individuals in the Anglophone General Conference by discontinuing all criminal proceedings and ordering the release of all persons currently detained in connection with the Anglophone crisis, as well as facilitating the return of persons who have been internally or externally displaced as a result of the Anglophone crisis since October 2016, including those on exile and refugees. We call upon all the people of the Northwest and Southwest regions living at home and abroad to make the sacrifices necessary, even in these difficult circumstances, to attend the Anglophone General Conference massively and thus contribute directly to our collective search for a final, lasting and satisfactory solution to the Anglophone crisis in Cameroon. We request public authorities at local, subdivisional, divisional, regional and national levels, as well as the Friends of Cameroon in the international community, to support our initiative and thus contribute to the success of the Anglophone General Conference as a necessary first step towards a national dialogue on the Anglophone problem. Finally, we urge all Cameroonians to continue to pray for peace and harmony in our land.
Of the meeting or the press declaration which took place in the city of Douala today. In the second part of this newscast, our guest, who is an actor of the civil society, is going to be telling us the implications of such an outing. And a close to 1-year-old baby girl has died after she drowned in floods at village neighborhood in the Douala Free subdivision following intense rainfall that was this morning. It crumbled business and other activities and led to the collapse of the road in Nyala linking Douala and the nation's capital Yaoundé. Let us take a look at the situation today in the city of Douala, precisely in the Douala Free subdivision, in the following report. Water above knee level and a packed vehicle covered with floods. This is the picture of the Bobongo neighborhood in village Douala Free subdivision, where a 9-month-old baby died early Wednesday as a result of inundations. This resident explains that the child was at home alone when the incident occurred. It was therefore difficult to come to her rescue. He adds,
les parents étaient tous dehors. Avant qu'il ne rentre, l'enfant était déjà noyé.
4 heures, la pluie a commencé. Depuis le matin, nous, on n'a même pas mangé. On n'a même pas... on va faire comment pour partir au marché?
It was a long night for inhabitants at village who woke up before dawn to save properties from destruction. But then, their lives were more important, she explains.
On surmonte sur la table, sur les étagères, ça ne nous laisse pas.
Because of the flood, circulation on the National Road number 3 was practically difficult after this road at village split into two. The divisional officer for Douala Free, Nuhu Bello, who was on an assessment mission, said that measures have been put in place to repair the road.
L'entreprise est en train de se mobiliser pour pouvoir rapidement mettre en place la...
He added that an alternative road through Yassa has been put in place.
Et nous avons pris comme première mesure de dévier tous les gros porteurs.
And Dokpasi Free technicians from the office in charge of electricity are at work. They are trying to pull off a high-tension cable from a vehicle which was stationed by the road.
Le marché dure depuis que ça s'est passé, on nous demande de ne pas nous approcher de nos postes.
The impact of the downpour Wednesday in Douala was immense. Locals have maintained a single call.
D'après moi, vraiment, on va creuser les drains.
Il faut creuser les rigoles. Il n'y a pas de rigoles. C'est grave, il n'y a pas.
Nous demandons aux délégués du gouvernement, nous demandons aux autorités administratives, nous demandons à tous ceux qui peuvent nous aider de nous voler au secours. C'est grave.
They want the city council to tackle the problem by cleaning the drainage system. Floods in the city of Douala, which is almost becoming a tradition, especially during the rainy season. How was the atmosphere in other neighborhoods like Bona Musadi, Bonaberi of the Douala 4 municipality? Here in Akwan, also in Bonanjo, Sumanjikan Gabriel presents the picture of the city of Douala in this report.
At the Cité des Palmiers roundabout this Wednesday, traffic and all sort of movement was paralyzed as a result of the heavy downpour that visited the economic capital of Douala. Those who have to go to work were blocked, just like other road users. Due to the effects of the heavy downpour, the makeshift bridge constructed along the road also collapsed, causing enormous problems. From the Cité des Palmiers roundabout, the EQUINOXE team moved to Alpicam Quarter in Mabanda neighborhood under the Douala 4 municipality. Here, it was practically difficult for movement as almost everyone was stuck in his or her house with the running water visiting some houses. Even cars barely managed to find their way through in the standing water. At the Forever neighborhood, apart from the houses that suffered from the effect of the heavy downpour, a health unit was also caught in the troubled waters. Doctors and nurses were forced to evacuate their patients from the rooms because of water that has taken hostage of the zone. An aerial view of Yasa under Douala 3 municipality also depicted the effects of the rain in that part of Douala, as most inhabitants were caught in their houses because of the water that invaded their homes, with several properties of persons destroyed as a result of the downpour. Many are now calling for an urgent solution because Cameroon will be hosting the African Nations Cup at this same period in 2019.
Deadly floods in the city of Douala, a similar situation in Limbe, where residents are still suffering the devastating consequences of the downpour that hit the city. That was yesterday. At least 4 corpses are said to have been retrieved from the mud in the Bonjo neighborhood that is in Limbe Free Subdivision. The landslide occurred yesterday after the downpour. It should be noted that in a crisis meeting in Limbe today with the director of the Civil Protection at the Ministry of Territorial Administration, the governor called on the population to respect building norms and stop building on risk zones and waterways. It should be noted that the director equally added her voice, or the director of the said institution added her voice, that the increasing use of non-biodegradable plastic bags go a long way to block the gutters. The population living on the hills in Limbe have equally been told to temporarily quit the area until the rains are over, while the government delegate to the Limbe City Council and the senior divisional officer for Vuri have been given a task to look for a land to settle the displaced population. Let's now come back to an excerpt, or have an excerpt of the governor of the southwest region of Cameroon who visited Limbe to take stock of the situation. Governor Bernardo Kaliabilai was speaking to Davis Maimo.
The recommendation to the government delegate and the SGO is to invite the population to temporarily quit this place, because the landslide yesterday, according to what it came twice in less than 1 hour, and at the moment we are talking, another landslide can still happen. So let the population quit temporarily, and when the flood and the rain will cease, will go down, now they will see. But the final solution is to relocate them elsewhere. Minister of Territorial Administration sent to the field the Director of Civil Protection, who is with me here. Immediately after this visit, we'll go to the hall, and in the next days, action will be taken.
How now take you to Mbanjok, a locality in the central region of the country, baptized as the dirtiest town in that part of Cameroon due to the littering of garbage by the population just anywhere in the said municipality. Life of the population is constantly being threatened as a result of the garbage heaps around the municipality. Let's present to you the picture of the locality of Mbanjok with our reporter EQUINOXE.
The deputy mayor of Mbanjok talks about her quarter, now nicknamed the dirtiest quarter in the town of Mbanjok. The face of this quarter leaves visitors in shock and embarrassment as garbage is littered just everywhere, including the streets, due to extension of the garbage heaps. The insanitary condition in this quarter, also baptized Kachikenzang, exposes inhabitants to numerous health hazards. Entire Mbanjok town has been taken hostage by dirt. Even the surrounding of the district hospital is infested.
Quand l'air est pollué, et puis il y a donc des micro-organismes.
Jodene Onanandi, a medic at the Mbanjok Health Center, says many fall ill on a daily basis as they inhale microorganisms from this decayed waste. Flies also transport bacteria from the garbage to served meals. An insanitary situation which gives nightmare to the divisional officer of the town. The local council, which lacks the necessary resources to remedy this pronounced phenomenon in all quarters, calls on each and every one in the municipality to play their respective roles in keeping the town neat.
Parce que l'hygiène n'est pas seulement la chose de la commune.
Ni Babara Sangunleko, divisional officer of Mbanjok, reiterates that a sanitary environment leads to sound health. Cleared bushes prevents harm on whosoever, thus guarantee of security.
Des brigands qui pourraient se cacher dans des bosquets ou autres herbes autour de nous.
EQUINOXE, the reporting bringing us to the end of this first segment of the news. Time for us to meet our guest tonight. Stay with us, we shall be right back. We have been joined tonight by an actor of the civil society, Mr. AGBORTEM, Claude. Good evening to you. Thank you so much for joining us tonight on Talking Point.
Good evening with me, and good evening to all televiewers. And it's a pleasure having me once again here in your program.
We thank you so much for coming. You have been one of those civil society actors that has been closely following up developments in the northwest and the southwest regions of Cameroon since this crisis escalated. When you take a look at the meeting that was today chaired by Christian Cardinal Tumi, what do you have to say about that?
Well, Mimi, I think it is a laudable initiative. We know the situation of the crisis now demands some actions. We have spoken, people have been talking, we need this, we need that. There is time for action, and I think that for the men of God to take the initiative they took today is just something that we all must appreciate and then put our hands together, because the All Anglophone Conference as of now is a necessity. We need to talk among ourselves.
So it should be a sigh of relief to the crisis that has been going on for 2 years now.
To me, I can say it is the greatest of its actions so far since the Anglophone crisis. We have an opportunity now for the men of God who are highly respected to take the lead, to say we are not just talking, now we want to act. And I can see in their letter their intention to gather all Anglophones so that we can talk face to face, because we need that. There is no how we can move ahead without having an Anglophone consensus. And I think that all I can say here is to call on especially the government, the BR regime, to give their 100% support to this gesture of the men of God.
Now, the major question is, how is it going to be possible to mobilize some of these Anglophone Cameroonians? You, of course, know that A good number of them are in neighboring Nigeria, others in bushes, others seeking refuge and scared to return to their respective localities because of the hostilities, like you heard from the bishops and the prelates that converge here on the economic capital Douala. How is that going to be possible? Is that not one of the major difficulties that this initiative is going to face?
I don't think so. For the men of God to initiate this action, mind you, what we saw today is the umbrella. Beneath, there are some actions that are going on. The Archbishop Emeritus of Douala Archdiocese, the Imam of Bamenda, and the Presbyterian Church must have somehow been carrying out some underground activities, actions, vis-a-vis the government and even with the displaced people, to see that everybody is present on that day. Because this is a necessity, which I think that if all of us see this as the way forward, then we are going to make effort. There must be some sacrifices. First of all, and that is why from their letter, they call on all of us to make sacrifices.
All of us, especially the government.
Of course.
We remember
the government should be prepared.
Crisis group.
Of course.
Identify the church, the Catholic Church, as the only reliable institution that can be able to tackle this crisis.
Of course.
But looking at the fact that prelates, bishops have met on several occasions proposing solutions. Even the bishops of the ecclesiastical province of Bamenda have given a series of recommendations as far as this crisis is concerned. Why is the guarantee that this one could yield some positive fruits?
The greatest guarantee is that there is, or I can say there are milestones. A date has been programmed. And I think that the bishops have taken the bull by the horns. This is a challenge now, both to the BR regime and to whoever is involved in this Anglophone crisis. And I think that this action of the bishop is going to expose ourselves. Now, we will see who wants peace and who doesn't. If the BR regime can't accept to let go those who are held captives, then something is wrong. Then the whole world will see that they are responsible. If those who have taken up arms in the bushes are not ready to drop their arms so that we can sit as a common people to talk, then we will see. And from there, we can now know what to do. But I think that what the bishops, the men of God did this time, the difference is that they did not just make recommendations. They programmed a meeting. And which means that they are going to work towards that meeting. And if you don't support that, it means you don't want peace in Cameroon.
At a time when those who have been recognized in these English-speaking communities as the leaders are behind bars, others on exile, and possibly not having that possibility to come back to the country, how representative are the attendees going to be?
I think that there is still time. Like the men of God recommended in their letter, the government must be ready to make amends and sacrifices.
What do you mean by amends?
To make amends means to correct some of the errors. Some of these errors that the government committed was to arrest. They should be able to let go these guys. Because the issue here is our national peace. And when national peace is concerned, the law is secondary. We don't look at the law. We look at how can we consolidate the peace of the nation. And when that one is concerned, we must be ready to let go certain things. It costs us nothing, and I will challenge the regime. It costs them nothing to let go these guys, to free those who are arrested, so that we can sit as a people and talk for the common good of our country.
And a major preoccupation, how timely is this decision at the time when several youths, like you earlier indicated, are being radicalized, and we see the situation on the ground, the devastating consequences, houses destroyed in the northwest and the southwest regions of Cameroon. The crisis has been going on for close to 2 years now. How timely is this decision, Mr.
Mimi, I think that a great decision doesn't need hours, doesn't need days. It just needs an action. From this letter, which I believe we are all receiving, when you informed me of this letter, I was happy. At least I felt some relief that an action has been initiated. initiated by men of God. And I think that wherever they are too, whatever their reasons for being radicalized, they need to accept peace. They need to open their minds to receive the message of God, because men of God are carriers
on both sides
of
security forces, of course.
Of course, it takes just a decision tonight.
Saw the situation on Monday.
Of course, it takes just a decision tonight for arms to drop. But like I say, it takes the strongest person to drop arms. And now, like I earlier said, with this initiative, we'll know who doesn't want peace and who wants peace. And I will challenge the regime to be the first.
Like
because
you
we
said,
need that.
AGBORTEM, Jean-Claude, it is going to be a test of to understand who actually wants peace.
It is going to expose all of us.
Crisis is concerned.
It is going to expose everybody.
So much for joining us tonight on Talking Point. We hope to have you some other time again.
Thank you so much, Rini.
Thank you so much
it's
for
a pleasure.
your time. To our viewers, it was equally a pleasure having you with us in this edition of the Primetime Newscast on Equinox Television. Wishing you a blessed stay in the company of our programs until we meet again. Goodbye.